By now, there's no shortage of rhythm games on our consoles, with franchises like DJ Mask, Superbeat, Taiko no Tatsujin, and Rocksmith giving music fans plenty to chew on. And lately, there's a vast selection of hybrid games mixing other genres into the mix, such as the FPS formula of the recent BPM bullets per minute and Metal Hellsinger, the top-down action of Soundfall, or even the recently shadow-dropped Hi-Fi Rush with its character action style gameplay. Rhythm Sprout takes yet another turn in this ever-evolving genre, mixing the core of the note-hitting music games with a bit of semi-automated combat. Let's see what this little sprout has to offer. The premise of the game is pretty simple. Our level-headed onion hero is sent by the king of the vegetable kingdom to rescue his daughter, supposedly kidnapped by the evil King Sugar Daddy whose candy army invaded the colorful lands. And well, the story is simple. The game's cute and colorful visuals, and most importantly the fantastic humor, make it stand out. I laughed out loud multiple times as particularly funny dialogues, unexpected cutscenes, and bizarre boss fights made the game's 20+5 story music tracks more than just a fun playlist to move to the rhythm to. And to be fair, it's a pretty impressive soundtrack. No licensed tracks that I know of, but an interesting variety including lo-fi, drum and bass, some rock elements, modern trap sounds, and even a song winking at K-pop. Some pretty good melodies all around. So how does this one actually play? It's a fairly standard rhythm game as it may first appear, with the core of the gameplay oriented around right notes, which have to be hit with the face button of your choice, left notes where any button on the D-pad goes, and dodge notes with the RB. The first two are what makes the stages go forward. Each correctly hit note moves the player forward, closer to the finish. Missing a note wastes some points, but there's no other penalties, though a certain amount of notes have to be hit to progress, so the tune may start looping again near the end. Dodge notes, on the other hand, have to hit, otherwise a piece of health is lost, and if those go down to 0, back to the start of the song we go. And this is crucial in combat. Indeed, there's combat in Rhythm Sprout, though this also follows the stage's linear formula. In fixed moments of specific stages, the music changes slightly, as a candy-themed enemy attacks the player. You have to use the dodge notes to avoid these attacks, and there's also usually a rapid fire of left and right notes. Again, these aren't mandatory to hit, but the more we manage to hit, the sooner the enemy goes down. Indeed, if you're not looking for the highest of scores with the maximum rating, it can make sense sometimes to ignore some particularly difficult note sequences and focus on hitting those dodges right. Though a set amount of correct attack notes also regenerates health, so decisions. Each level is usually preceded and ended by a pretty funny cutscene, as the player goes through various biomes meeting increasingly weird characters. Boss stages also come into play, and whereas the first two or so are pretty standard, the game's unusual humor takes key role in the progression of the gameplay as well, with some of these big encounters resolving in rather odd ways. The game's intentionally unpredictable nature does result in some less pleasant difficulty spikes, with certain songs suddenly much harder than the ones before or after in multiple occasions, and not just in boss fights. Fortunately, there's also a beginner mode where the left and right notes are fused into one and the same, so pressing any face button or direction on the D-pad is acceptable to hit them. Beginner mode isn't the only gameplay variation that can be applied to the stages. Finishing either that or the regular difficulty, the EX modes are unlocked for said stage. These are 4 different mutators of sorts that can be played one by one or even multiple ones at the same time, featuring challenges like a mirrored mode, faster speed, or randomized notes. These offer an extra challenge, but don't really contribute to the game progression. For that, it's enough to hit certain score and note combo thresholds to reach the maximum amount of stars unlockable, which then helps unlocking new skins for our protagonists and even new weaponry. All cosmetic, of course. The game's campaign is a whopping 20 levels with as many songs to boot, but it doesn't end there at all. Not only do the aforementioned EX modes add an extra layer of fun, there's also the high score chases and unlocks, which add plenty more hours of content. But once the end credits roll, the player unlocks a special 5-level prequel story with brand new songs. And that's not the end of it. There's even 5 extremely tough challenge levels and spectral worlds that are tough to finish even in beginner mode, so good luck with those. All in all, there's plenty of content for a game that may appear like a cute little indie funsy without much content. The game's cutesy style, that reminisces perhaps too many forgettable indie games, is just a ruse. The game has charming characters, the humor is on point, the amount and variety of content is quite impressive, and most importantly, the gameplay works very well. It isn't the most complex or riveting gameplay loop, but then again the popularity of titles like Muse-Dash show how simplicity and polish walk hand in hand, and now Rhythm Sprout is further proof of this. I recommend it to all game fans looking for a more humorous take on the genre.